Hey there. So I'm kind of thinking that one of the things I might do in these little kind of introduction things is show off some of the things I have. Where's the camera? It's right there. I do that all the time. Kind of show off some of the things I have in my study, my office, right? I mean, if we kind of take a look around, oh my gosh, there's all kinds of cool, fun, knick-knack stuff. Um, and most of it has a story. I mean, some of it is just there because I like it, but most of it has a story. And I'm going to try to adjust this just a little bit. Um, Now I'm anal. I'm like, oh, I got to get it right and so forth. Um, and I'm hoping the focus is on me properly. Let's see. Well, I'll just make sure I'm over here. How about that? Learn to use your equipment, Lon. One thing I want to show you is this diary right here. Um, I know it's cool leather, cool paper. I'm into that sort of thing, right? So here's the story with this diary. Back when I worked with Intel Corporation, they have a benefit where I think it's 7 years. Every 7 years you're with the company, they then give you a 2 month sabbatical. And the 2 month sabbatical is on top of your vacation time. So at you have 3 weeks vacation. Okay, that's great. That's really great. But we're talking a whole 2 months that you take all at once. And the idea is it's a sabbatical, leave, recharge. Now, the reason for this is Intel works your ass off. I mean, I I won't go into detail. Well, I'll go into a little detail here. But Intel really works your ass off, and so they recognize that every once in a while you either need to recharge or you're going to burn out. And so they give you a 2 month sabbatical. Well, I was able to plan my sabbatical to be on my 20th wedding anniversary. And so that's what we did. My wife and I, we took 2 months off during our 20th wedding anniversary. And Intel pays you well, and we sold a bunch of stock, and we sold a bunch of stuff and so forth. And for the first and last time since, we've been married for like 32, 33 years now, we traveled. So, first time we'd ever traveled together, and really the last time. Anyway, we went to Europe. We first went to Rome, and then Venice, and Paris, and London. And it was fabulous. I mean, it's just fabulous. But one of the things I did during the sabbatical was I kept a diary, and I wrote in this diary every single day because I sort of knew that we'd be doing some cool stuff that I wanted to remember. Okay, but I also sort of had in my mind that I was at an inflection point in my career. I didn't really feel like my career was where I wanted it to be. And I'm an introspective person. I like to get away. I like to write things down. I like to mull them over and just ruminate and kind of let my thoughts go where they will. So I kept this diary completely full. Well, couple of things that I'll read to you. One, just kind of a fun little for example that I kept about our travels. So we're in Venice. We managed to be in Venice on the night of our 20th wedding anniversary. Um, Most people visit Venice for just one day. We were there for two. Most people visit Venice for just one day, and it's easy to see why. You can see the major sights in one day, and you can't afford to stay any longer. We stopped for two hot chocolates and a slice of pie at the piazza and paid $60. 60. Yes, you read that right. For those of you reading this years later wondering what that means in your own monetary terms, The same in the US would have cost about $15, and that's for the really good stuff. But the experience of it all on a special day like this makes it all right. I'd do it again. So, yeah, 2 cups of hot chocolate and a slice of pie, that's about a $15 proposition back 15 years ago, 13 years ago. Well, cost us $60. So, yeah, you can't afford to stay in Venice for very long. But let me give you an example of what I mean by kind of having sort of an inflection moment in my career. So at the time I'm working for Intel, I'm an internal communications specialist. For those of you taking 2200, I'm doing what this class is all about. But I wasn't where I really wanted to be. So let's see. Here we go. We often forget that none of the work we do matters. We are paid very well to have us do it as though it matters, to believe that it matters, so we treat it as though it matters. But it doesn't take long for us to believe our own press and start behaving as though it really does matter. But it doesn't. Lives don't depend on us. Stock price is immune to what we do. Employees won't leave because of us. But we forget all this and act as though so much hinges on the decisions we make. But it's all a lie we make up and then happily believe so we can tell ourselves that our lives matter, that the work for which we sacrifice ourselves, our families, and our time has some meaning, merits, and some level of purpose in our lives. But it doesn't. And then I write right here, remember, none of this really matters. Don't believe the beautiful lie. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to kind of mull over there, right? And this is one of the reasons that I made the decision soon after this sabbatical to shift my career over to academia. I thought about what are my strengths, what do I enjoy doing, where do I see a place for myself, how do I interact with others, what skills do I have, all that sort of stuff, and decided academia, that's not a bad direction. And so it was soon after this that I decided to get my PhD and start slowly transitioning my career. So yeah, I actually keep this. I keep this in, I know you can't see me, but it's okay. So I keep it right up here so that I can see it every day and remind myself of the lessons that I took away from that trip. And furthermore, I have a color picture laminated copy of that in all my offices. So no matter where I am and no matter where I'm looking, I can see a picture of that diary and remember what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. So there you go. Interesting to me. Don't know if it is for you. And with that, let's get started. And why not indeed? Let's get started. Welcome, everyone. Great to have you. We've got everybody chiming in. We have, oh, holy smokes, Scott, Andrea, Brooke, Alma, Adrian, Jack. Folks coming in, that's fantastic. Welcome, everyone. Great to have you on this Monday morning. You know, Laura, great to have you. I did that little spiel thing there from my diary, and it actually will come into play in today's lecture. That wasn't really the plan, but hey, you know what? I'll take an unintended plan there. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Where's the right button? There we go. Okay, let's go ahead and reset all these from our previous class. And I have no doubt we're going to rack those right up. You guys always do. Yeah, do one thing well, division of labor, as seen through the eyes of the Republic by Plato. Now, remember, I've said before, not a history class. And so, yeah, we're going to talk about Plato and Socrates, but I don't know when they were around. And you don't need to know when they were around. It's the ideas that we want to play with here, right? So what I'm going to do is we're actually going to start with mega engagement, right? We're going to start with 2 questions. Let's do this one first, all right? You just started your career, one that will guide you for the rest of your life, presumably. What should you consider when deciding what to do as a profession? And this is pretty much what you're doing, right? What are the factors, what are the criteria that you are keeping in mind as your North Star when deciding what to do as a profession? Okay, so go ahead and type your responses in the chat section, and let's see what we can get. Okay, fantastic. Let's come back and take a look at this. So right away, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4 comments. Great, fantastic from 3 contributors. So we are on the right track. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of these. Okay, so you got to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life. Oh, we're getting more comments in there. Don't worry, I'll come back and add those in. So we've got things like, oh gosh, we've got money. You want to make sure you earn enough money. You want happiness, that you're, enjoying what you're doing. A lot of folks saying enjoying. You got family versus work. So you want some work-life balance. WLB, work-life balance. I like that. A lot of folks are saying, hey, I really need to enjoy it. I want to be happy in my work. Very good. When I look at a profession, what I do, I look for passion. Allow me to receive freedom, So we want, financial freedom. We want passion. Right, exclamation mark, fantastic. Trying to be sure move forward in something I enjoy doing. Spend a lifetime doing jobs that, dreaded and so forth. Yeah, dreaded, totally. So, move forward. Okay, fantastic, very good. Yeah, I love it, great, very, very good. So we're gonna come back over here and, right off. We got a whole bunch of contributors. We got a whole bunch of great comments. All right. And the next one's going to take us over the top. Next one's going to take us over the top. So check this out. New question. All right. Same thing. New question. We've all found ourselves on a deserted island. What would it take to create a functioning community? How does everyone get the things they need to survive? We're on a desert island. no help. We have all the resources on the island. What are we going to need to do to create a functioning community such that everybody gets what they need to survive? So let's play with that question. Come back over to our rave. Okay, excellent, excellent. And before I start reading these off, I already know that we are going to get to our 10 awesome comments, and I'm going to take us to our 10 contributors. So right away, right off the bat, we're at a couple of 10s. So congratulations, fantastic. Remember, this is what we want to do. After the lecture, send me an email with a timestamp of 10:08, right? So just go ahead and email me 10:08, and we'll make sure that you get lots of awesome points for your contributions. Okay, so with that, let's come back and look at this, right? So we've got different people with different skills. So you're going to look at skills, all right? Democratically, okay, division of labor, people what they're good at, trades for what they need and so forth, right? So we've kind of got skills, what they're good at, talked about. We have leaders who decide who's responsible for what based on strengths, right? Everybody needs to participate, right? So skills, strengths, and so forth. Very nice. Everybody contributes, right? Make sure that everybody's in there. Let's see, everybody does the job they're particularly good at, Mauricio. Absolutely, right? Brand new community, first need to establish everyone's strengths and weaknesses, put them into groups and so forth. Yeah, you're there. We need to get together, find a person to help represent everyone. We need laws, survival skills. Each person works on a job that helps with their strengths. Basically, this is, you guys are screaming this, right? Skills and contribution, right? And yeah, Mauricio Silver, that's because it's been shorted again. Anyway, okay, so here's what I want to point out, guys. The two questions were the exact same question. Exactly the same. The only difference was it changed the locus of to whom you're beholden. In other words, the way I framed the first question is you are beholden to yourself. You have an obligation to yourself to find a job that pays well, makes you happy, work-life balance, passion, move forward. You're beholden to yourself. You have an obligation to yourself. But the way I phrased the second question is you are beholden to the collective. You are beholden to, as Plato puts it in here, as Socrates puts it as well, you're beholden to the state, okay? All of this here is This is what I want for myself. All of this is what the state and the community needs, and everyone needs to step up, do what you're good at, and contribute. I don't care if it doesn't pay a lot. I don't care if you love it, you're good at it. Don't even talk to me about work-life balance. Passion, forget about it, right? We just need to survive. So the question becomes, you know, to whom are you beholden, right? Oh, wrong button, wrong button. Let's come back over here. You know, it's all about, well, are you beholden to yourself and you want to find a job that uses your passions and so on and so forth? Or are you beholden to the state? And I really like this particular graphic. I should probably make it bigger to look at it more closely. You know, it's supposedly ikagi, a Japanese concept meaning reason for being. Okay, that aside, it basically says, listen, there are a lot of things you need to look at when deciding what you're going to do for a living. Yes, you can look at what you love doing. Go ahead, look at what you love doing. That's great. But then you also need to look at what are you good at doing. Just because you love doing it doesn't mean you're any good. Hate to tell you. Now, if you love doing it and you're not particularly good at it, there's a place for that. That's a hobby. You go ahead and do a hobby. I have lots of hobbies that I am totally awful at, but I enjoy doing them. I love doing it, but I'm not particularly good at it. So it's a hobby. Then you got to look at, well, what does the world really need? And what can you be paid for? All right. Now, if you just look at what you're good at and what you can be paid for, or what the world needs, there's your profession, there's your vocation. That's going to keep the desert island going, right? Hey, you know what? You're good at it. You guys all mentioned skill. I've got 5 check marks next to skill. You all mentioned skill, and that's good. And we need it, right? And you can be paid somewhat for it because, you know, you're going to be traded in barter and trading goods, one of you mentioned, right? So there's your profession, right? But on the desert island, nobody asked you, what do you love doing? What do you love doing, right? Nobody cares that you love doing it. But what you imagine for yourself and your own future is, what is your passion? What is your mission? What do you love doing? And how can you express what you love doing in a way that you can be paid for, and so on, right? And it's just an interesting idea to think, well, now, do you exist for your own self and your own passions and pleasures, or does your work exist for the good of the state? And that's kind of a fundamental question that we just explored there in that example, okay? And this is one of the questions that Socrates raises. Yeah, the Republic is written by Plato, but Plato is all quoting Socrates and everything. And that's really what Socrates is asking is, should society allow everyone to act in their own self-interest? Now, if you look at it from the perspective of a desert island, and somebody says, I want to be a painter, and somebody else says, I want to teach yoga, and somebody else says, I want to Okay, is the sound back? Let me know if the sound is back. And I know there was probably some Can you hear me now? You can hear me. I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts you can hear me now. Yep. Okay. Yeah. Never freak out when something goes wrong. Okay? This is an old man life lesson. You don't want to hear old man life lessons, but I'm an old man. There's always a solution. There's always a backup. Batman says if you have a contingency plan in place, you'll always be all right. Okay. Back to where I was. Let's say that on your desert island, somebody says, I want to teach yoga, or I want to be an artist, or I want to study philosophy. The folks on the desert island are going to say, you know what, I respect your passions, but we don't need that right now. We need food, water, shelter, some form of government, allocation of resources, health, safety. These are things we need right now to ensure the survival of the community. And I understand your passion is philosophy. I understand that you love art, but that is not what the community needs. Well, you get that. You get that. You pointed it out on our traveling whiteboard here. You get that. But here's the thing, guys. We live on a desert island. The Earth is really, really small and has finite resources. And that's if you just look at the Earth. If you look at our country alone, the country in which you live, there are only so many needs for different things. You only need so many artists. You only need so many philosophers. You only need so many of these things. And so what Socrates is asking is, oh yeah, I know I turned that on. Go away. If we allow people to act in their own self-interest, what's to ensure that the community has what it needs to survive? The community being the state. They talk about the state in this particular reading. Now, this is a question we are going to explore in depth in the next few weeks, right? So we won't go into a great deal of depth right now, but it basically comes down to how do we ensure that the community has everything it needs to survive if we allow people to do whatever the hell they want? Because what's to stop everybody on the island from saying, I'm going to be a philosopher, somebody feed me. I'm a really good philosopher, feed me. No, it's not going to work. So that's an idea that we're going to explore. Don't worry, there's a good answer because we're all going to do what we want to do. All right. Of course, we're talking about division of labor, which really means focusing on one thing, doing one thing, okay? Why? Why are we doing that? So I'll tell you what, we're on 10 on our contributors, and we're on 10 on our awesome comments. Give me some real world examples. Why do you think division of labor is a powerful thing, right? Why not just do everything you need to survive? I mean, there's a lot of folks out there who are really, and as I speak, go ahead and write your ideas. There's a lot of folks out there who are really interested in being self sufficient. Okay. I get it. I truly do get it. I am not one of them, but I get it. Self sufficient. I want to have access to my own food, my own fuel, my own water. I build my own things and so forth because any number of disasters can come about. And when those disasters come about, I'm going to embrace the Batman contingency planning ring and make sure that I am prepared. So these are folks who want to be prepared and be self-sustaining. So what why focus in something, right? So Mauricio, you say that resources are really limited, right? And so is time. And yeah, you can't do everything. You don't have access to all the resources you need to do everything. And you certainly don't have the time to do everything. So yeah, it would make sense to divide up the labor so that everybody's contributing in a way that works best for their group. And then teamwork makes the dream work. I like that, Brooke. Teamwork makes the dream work. Yeah. I mean, even if you look at something as simple as a sports team, you're not going to have just one person on a pitch, a field, a court, whatever you call it, trying to do everything. But if we all work together, we can do some extraordinary stuff. I like it. Let's see. Yeah, I'm asking, why focus on one job? Absolutely, Adrian. Why just focus on one job? Laura says, in my company, I'm not good at legal, enrollment, claims, but I'm good at sales and working with agents. Dividing the labor and tasks allows the client to get everything they need as a whole. Yes, I really like it. Absolutely. And that is a fantastic real world example. A really simple example I can think of is sometimes I'm so busy with schoolwork and my band that I don't have time to make food. So go to a fast food restaurant. That is like so good real world example, right? Yes, Izzy, absolutely. Hard to develop skills if you have more than one. Yes. So let's break some of these down. You guys are really heading them. So as Izzy points out, you can get really, really, really good at one thing if you focus in division of labor. And so if you're really good at one thing, you're going to make money doing that one thing. I like the comment that Adam said about going to a fast food restaurant. This is actually a marketing tactic. And by the way, I buy into it. We eat out like 3 or 4 times a week. I'm sorry. Eat out as in go takeout. We bring it home. We like doing that. Anyway, the point is, this is a marketing tactic of a lot of the restaurants and fast food restaurants. What they're trying to convince you is, listen, you work hard. You have limited time. You want to spend that time at home. You want to spend it with family. Don't waste time cooking. We'll go ahead and cook and you can enjoy and relax on your own. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Well, imagine. Yeah, people can only put in 100% on one thing. Totally agree. You can divide it up, be efficient, not. Yes, absolutely. You guys, and I like the way you're interacting with each other there. Great work. Exactly. Okay. Yeah, Adam, it does work well. Totally agree. Yeah, the way you guys are right. And furthermore, if you're really, really good at it, you'll be paid well for it. And also you'll be much more efficient at it. So you can do it much more, do it faster, higher quality, all that sort of stuff. So division of labor really works well. But there's another reason division of labor really works well. And that's kind of nuanced here in this. I found the job where I fit best. So we all fit into our community. We need our community. Oh, by the way, I was pointing out this here, and yet I was hiding it. I found the job where I fit best. We are all part of a community. We need each other. You need me. I need you. Okay? I truly do. And the way that we function as a community is if we all find a way where we can contribute best. And so this is where you talk about skills and so forth. I'm very good at this. I can do it fast. I'm efficient. I deliver high quality. Therefore, you can pay me well for it, and I will pay you well for what you do. Think about it. Every job in the world, and we're going to talk about this more in future lectures, but every job in the world exists because somebody outsourced something. Every job. Every job you've had, every job I've had, every job everybody's ever had, if they're working for somebody else, that job exists because somebody outsourced it and they're going toward a division of labor model. All right, let's keep going. Oh, let's come back over here. Okay, there we go. Now, since we're all practicing this division of labor, that means that over time, nobody can do everything. And truly, in fact, nobody can do everything, right? Unless you're living a really, really, really ascetic lifestyle, which you can. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's not a lifestyle I choose, but it's a worthy, noble lifestyle. But if you're going to live kind of the lifestyle that we've convinced ourselves in our community that we need, then we need a marketplace. We need a place where we can go to get the goods and services necessary for us to supplement what we're not doing at home. And so that brings in the whole invention of the marketplace. I know it's strange to think of a marketplace being an invention, but as communities grow and as trade networks grow, and remember, we've already got the Samaritans and the nomads wandering around, with some pretty extensive trade routes. Well, next week, we're going to go even more nuts talking about the Vikings and their trade networks. Oh my gosh, right? But as these trade networks grow and as people divide labor more and more, they need a place where they can go to get the goods and services they need. And this marketplace really introduces some new ideas, some new concepts. One of these ideas and concepts is retail. Now, that lecture comes up on Wednesday. But trust me when I say retail was really revolutionary and highly controversial, and I think is still controversial today. All right? So, looking at the past through the lens of today, not a lot has changed in a lot of ways. Okay, so we have these marketplaces developing where people can get the goods and services that they need. All right? But then these marketplaces and the division of labor is starting to cause people to think about some old things in new ways. And we still do this today. Okay, so let me give you an example. Let's look at war. All right? What are the main reasons that nations in the past would go to war? Well, economic gain, to be sure. I mean, economic gain was all about war. War was all about economic gain. All right. Access to resources. This is big, right? Because different tiny little areas of the world would have different access to resources. And yet you need resources from all over the world, right? Well, how are you going to get those resources? You conquer those people. That's how you get the resources. You want access to that port? Conquer them. You want access to that forest? Conquer them. You want access to that mineral deposit? Conquer them. That was why we went to war. National security. Well, I've got these resources and everybody's trying to conquer me. All right, well, what am I going to do? I'm going to go to war to try to protect the resources that I'm sitting on, because everybody's out to get my resources, because I'm out to get theirs. And then we have ideology, all right, which is you don't believe the same God I do you? You don't follow the same political ideology that I do you? Well, here's what they're starting to discover at this phase. The market can replace war. All right? Now, let me give you a real world example that we see today. We've got this thing called the EU, the European Union. The European Union was put together very soon after World War II. And one of the reasons it was put together is for this very philosophy. They said, listen. Guys, Europe, we've been going to war for a bazillion years, right? We're always going to war. We have little wars, we have big wars, and the two biggest wars, World War I, World War II, were in Europe. We got to stop this. How are we going to stop this? Well, we're going to make sure that economically we are inextricably linked. We're going to make sure that it is in everybody's economic best interest that we play nice. So what are we going to do? Well, we're going to make sure that economic gain is felt across all of Europe. If you're in the EU, you're going to feel economic gain across the entire Europe. We're also going to make sure that we all have equal access to all the resources in Europe. And they do, right? By the way, Britain just left the EU. We'll talk more about that, well, maybe later. If you're in my international class, we'll talk about it. But thing is, equal access to all the resources. This is going to bring about national security because nobody wants to kill the goose that laid the golden egg. We've got a good thing going on here, people. We have access to resources. We all have economic gain. Don't be going to war with each other. And then when it comes to ideology, well, we can all agree on one ideology. Money, business, commerce. Now, I know that sounds maybe a little cynical, but you'd be surprised how effective it is. Let's take China, for example, right? China is a government, a communist government, right? The last and most successful communist government on the earth. Well, they've said, you know what? You can be communist and still chase after wealth at the same time. And they have actually developed a really good, I don't fully understand it. I know somebody who does. I had to ask them sometime. Yeah, note to myself. Talk to David about this. But they've got a really nice amalgam between political ideology is all about communism, but personal wealth and growth is all about capitalism. And so as a result, China can actually do great business with the rest of the world because ideologically, when it comes to the idea of wealth and money, they're pretty much aligned. So this is kind of the new world order. Now, in future lectures, we're going to see how radical this new world order is. However, we are still using it as a way to keep the peace. We are putting in place regional trade organizations. We are lowering or raising trade barriers and so forth. we use the promise of economic gain, access to resources, national security, and ideology based around the idea of continually moving forward in standard of living as a promise to keeping the peace. All right? Which is why the U.S., every time it's gone to war and after the war, it goes in and tries to build up the economy of wherever it went to war. So Germany, Italy, Japan, Vietnam, these are places where we've tried to contribute to the economy afterwards to try to get this kind of thing in place. Okay? So, here's a quote for you. 2 quotes. So, from Sabrina Bryan, you can do anything as long as you have the passion, the drive, the focus, and the support. From Lon Schiffbauer, assuming you have the right skills, are not too old, meet the physical requirements, are willing to make the required sacrifices, and there is a market need that will pay what you require, then sure, you can do anything. It's that balance. Are you going to do what is your passion, even if it doesn't pay and nobody, allows you to do it? Or are you going to go after something you're good at and you can monetize, right? Hopefully, as my little spiel at the beginning of this video, as this lecture began, hopefully you can find a nice between. Hopefully you can find something that you're good at, that you enjoy, that can pay the bills and give you that freedom you want. And that's why you're in school, because that's what you're going after. All right? All right. Great job, everyone. Make sure you send that email with the timestamp, because you folks definitely earned it. And as per usual, I'll stick around for a few seconds afterwards if you have a comment or if you have a quick question. If you have a more in-depth question, send me an email and we'll get into it there. And otherwise, I hope you have a... Sorry, push the button too soon. I hope you have a fantastic day. What was the timestamp? I think that, 10:08. Thank you, Izzy. I appreciate it. 10:08. Hope you have a fantastic day, and we'll see you all on Wednesday. Have a good one.